Hello. Great Wednesday morning, folks. How are you doing? Cesar Mascoro Jr. in with our 15 minutes to mastery here at Manufactured Home Sales Mastery. We do this each and every day at 8:15 Central, bringing you some information, some motivation, and some inspiration to get your day started on the right foot. And today we're talking business. Today we're talking about financing. Today we're talking about the importance of pulling credit, right? And that seems to be something that not everybody does. I know that not all retailers will pull credit, not all manufacturing communities will pull credit, although you will pull credit for the park application. So technically, you do pull credit, right? And so that brings up a great point that we're going to touch on here shortly when we start talking about why it's important to pull credit, right? But first, I want to start off with just a basic rundown. Okay. You have to remember that you are providing housing. And right, so check this out. There's a website where I found this little clip that I've got up on the screen right now. Potential buyers should be checking their credit reports regularly and at least 6 to 12 months before applying for a mortgage. Why? So that they know what's going on with their credit, right? Okay, great. But why is it that we tend to have a difficult time pulling credit for those retailers, for those communities that do pull credit? Why is it that you tend to have a hard time being able to pull credit when it should be a given? Okay. And the reason that I say it should be a given, it should be something that your client should be understanding and moving forward with. Because if they were out and about looking at buying a site-built home, uh, no realtor is going to do business with them, go show them homes or anything of that sort, unless they're pre-approved. And in order to get pre-approved, what happens? You got to pull credit, right? The lender, whoever the mortgage company is going to pull the credit, see what kind of offer they can make them, what kind of rates they're going to get, and that way they're understanding where or what type of price point home they're looking at. So when I say it should be a given, folks walking onto your retail center are coming to look for a home. And so you need to make sure that they are understanding when they come in that they are in the process of buying. Now, obviously, they may not buy from you, but they are in the process of buying. And too many times, what it is they come in and they're thinking, we're just looking, we're just shopping. So we just want to look at some homes. But again, I go back to the same thing. No realtor is going to let them just look at some homes unless they're pre-approved, because that realtor is going to let them look at homes that are within their budget. And budget is so very important when it comes to selling homes, and especially manufactured homes, and especially today with the prices of homes and the rates being where they're at. So it's even more important that you are able to make sure that your clients are understanding that taking a look at their credit is simply a given. It's just going to be a part of what's going to happen today, your day that you were here visiting with me to be able to help you figure out what home would be best for you. Okay. Now, with that being said, the main reason that we want to make sure that we are pulling credit is because what happens is we sell payment, not price. We sell payment, not price. What does that mean? It means the majority of people that are purchasing a home are financing. And they all have a certain budget that they need to stay at, right? Some have a budget that they want to stay at. Others have a budget that they need to stay at. What's the difference? Well, wanting to stay at a certain price point is one thing. I may want to be at $1,000 a month, or Mr. and Mrs. Smith may want to be at no more than $3,000 a month, right? So the want is one thing. Needing to stay a certain budget is another. And you need to stay at the budget which fits within the income versus the debt ratio, which is what every lender is going to go off of. Now, as you know, different lenders have different criteria, right? You have banks like Cascade, you got 21st Mortgage, you got Zippy, you've got PEP, you've got there's so many out there. Automatic used to be Tamac, right? CSL, the list goes on. Triad, and so forth. So there's so many, and each one of them have their own different programs, and that's one of the things that I talk to everyone about, whether it's back when I was still in retail sales in manufactured homes, or now that we go and train folks. I tell them, look, it's going to take you at least a year and a half to really get comfortable with all the different finance programs that are out there and the nuances to all of these different programs that exist, right? So just study them as you go, get better as you go, get more comfortable with them. But one thing that all of them require is to check the credit, right? And there are a lot of retailers out there who have this frame of mind that, well, we're going to get the application, we'll submit it into the different lenders, and we'll see what they say. Great, that's great. However, here is the thing. When you do that, now a lot of times what tends to happen is you go and show homes on your lot that really are not within their budget they need to be at. In other words, what the bank is willing to loan them on. And then they see this home, they fall in love with it. Obviously, most of the time it's going to be that higher end home or better looking home, something that has a whole bunch of options on it that add to the cost. And then you submit the application without knowing any sort of just a basic budget on what's going on with the customer. They wind up not getting approved or not approved for the whole dollar amount that you have to get them. They get cut back on the loan amount. And now your job is to then convince that client who fell in love with this house to step down into these others that are in their price point. And that could just be avoided if you sold payment and not price. But how can we sell payment? Right? Well, selling payment means that you need to have a budget. You need to have a budget in place. Now, if you're not pulling credit, you can still at least run a basic budget to make sure that what you're looking at, homes you're going to show them, are going to fit within that monthly payment range that most likely they're going to be able to qualify for based on income, based on debts. Obviously not based on credit, because you don't know what exactly is going on with their credit. You don't know what their credit score is if they don't know, and if they're not willing to check it out on their own. Okay, because the other thing you can do is if they're not willing to go with you pulling their credit, well, then you can have them log into their own Experian or Equifax account and pull their credit right there in front of you. And it'll be free, and it'll give you some sort of, at least a baseline of what you're working with as far as credit's concerned. So you could do these things there in your office, even if you don't have the ability to pull credit within your office. But again, let's go back to what is it that you need? Well, first of all, you got to be very, very clear on what their income is. Do they get paid hourly? Do they get paid salary? And if they get paid hourly, are they working any sort of overtime? And if they're working overtime, what is the average overtime per week, and how long have they been receiving that overtime? Right? Most lenders are going to want them to have been receiving that overtime for anywhere from 6 months to 2 years, depending on the lender. The only one right now that I know of that still will accept something a little less in term is going to be 21st Mortgage. As long as on the verification of employment, the employer is willing to state that overtime is likely to continue, they'll count it. Even if it's less than 6 months. Okay. There may be a couple other lenders that are doing that right now. That's the only one that I know of. But anyway, going back to it. Income, overtime, bonuses, commissions, child support, Social Security, disability, pensions, retirements. All of these things count as income, but you've got to make sure there's different criteria for different incomes, right? Child support depends on the age of the child and how long they've been receiving it. And have they been receiving it regularly every month over the last 12 months? And then also you've got to understand that those types of incomes, those child support, disability, and things like that, those are the net that they're receiving. You got to gross those up. There's a lot of things that go into play here, right? But anyways, you get the income right based off of the last 2 years average. Okay. And then if you don't have a credit report, and the customer's not willing to log into their own Equifax account on their phone and pull it up so you can see their debts, okay, then you can just run down a list and write these things down. You're looking for minimum monthly payments. Mr. and Mrs. Customer, on credit, what do you have currently? Car payments, loans, student loans, furniture, department store cards, anything that would be on credit, and you write down those monthly payments, add them up. The minimum's not what they pay. If they pay extra, they pay more. That's not what the bank's looking at. They're looking at the minimum monthly payments they've got to make. You add those up. You've got your income. You take your income, right? The easiest way to do it is take your income, multiply it by 43%, subtract your debts, whatever's left, that's what you can use as a monthly payment. That's the easiest, safest way to guarantee yourself that you'll stay within budget, okay? Because there's you got your total debt in ratios, you got your housing ratios. We're not going to get into all of that. What we're talking about is simply running a basic budget that you can have so that you are now showing homes that fit within this certain criteria. If you maybe miss something and they actually qualify for more, now you're the hero and you're able to show them a couple different options, but hopefully you've already landed them on the house that they love anyway, based on the option that they think they need to be at. Okay. So that's all fine and dandy. And we've got more extensive training on running budgets and how to do it, what numbers to look at, things of that nature that we can definitely help you out with. But here's the one thing that it boils down to on whether or not you're going to be able to pull credit on a customer. Okay. And it comes down to this one thing. You must be certain. If your clients feel any sort of hesitation on your part, any sort of doubt on your part that you're going to be able to get it, or you're asking in a way that's kind of half-heartedly asking for that, for them to pull their credit, they're going to tell you no. Plain and simple. They're going to say no. They're going to sense that hesitation on your end, and it's just not going to happen. And you're setting yourself backwards, and worse, you're setting them backwards. You're not doing them a service by allowing this. But now I go back to what I spoke about at the beginning, right? It should just be a given that they're going to pull credit. For those of you in the manufactured home community world, here's the thing, right? They come in, you're going to submit their application to two different places. You're submitting it to the lender and you're submitting it to your own underwriting for the park application. So that credit's going to get pulled no matter what. So they know that that's going to happen. And so for you folks in retail, you should be taking that same sort of attitude and mindset, I is the better word. You should be having that same mindset that pulling credit is a must. It's a given. It's going to happen. It's a requirement. And when you believe that, when you're certain about that, you're going to ask with the full intention of receiving. You're going to ask with with a better sense of belief. And then, of course, your customer's going to feel it. Your customers are going to be more likely to go ahead and move forward. It's just a matter of fact. And it makes their life easier, makes your life easier, and everybody wins. But if you inside are thinking, man, well, I wouldn't want to pull my credit, or I'm not sure they're going to want me to pull their credit. Who's going to let me pull the credit? Guess what? You're going to struggle. You're going to struggle with that. And when you struggle with that and you don't have a budget, you struggle with selling because you're not selling based on payment. You're simply selling what the home looks like. And some of you make an even bigger mistake of selling price as opposed to payment, because most people, like we said, finance. So their main thing is payment. Even though they may ask you for price, you've got to help them understand that payment is where it's at. And if you can do that, and if you can maintain that sense of certainty when it comes to getting to the point of pulling credit, you're going to win more times than not. And when I say win, I mean you're going to be able to help them better, because you will have the information you need to make it happen. And I hope that you can operate that way in everything that you do in business and outside, because it makes life so much easier. You guys have a great Wednesday. Get through the rest of this week. We're halfway through April, man, already the 17th. I Can't believe it. You guys get on out there, make it a great day. And as always, I can't wait to meet you.